Hey, Mark, I want to walk through this with you real quick. Show you what we talked about last week. So this is the student view. Student goes in, and I can go into more detail later, but in essence, how we function is slightly different than Alex. Alex, the student will take an initial diagnostic first. It sets up their pie, and then they start working on their prerequisite skills first, and then moving forward. The way Alta works is the reverse of that. And I think I mentioned this last week. Student starts at the goal topic first, and then we work from there. So starting from that point, students going in, working on preview of a graph in circle form. So student gets the question. Again, we're forming a baseline of knowledge right off the bat. No initial diagnostic. Students working through the platform. We use Desmos for all of our graphing. And if you're not familiar, you can go to desmos.com and take a look at some of the stuff that's there. 80% of our content, or a little bit more actually, in our college algebra courses and our open answer, free response. All of those, a student gets 2 attempts at the adaptive question. Every question, right or wrong, they get a full explanation. So, and it includes the exact variables and data sets that were in the problem they were working. So it's not generic. So they get a full worked explanation with that content. And then they continue. As I mentioned before, if a student wants to get instruction, they can. They don't have to just work problems. So given the option of accessing the instruction on their own, which is very similar to, again, something like Alex, where they have a video or instructional content that they can go into. Again, miss it a couple times, student gets full explanation with the data set and variables they were working with. So in this particular case, it's going to take 3 questions that a student missed. That's not arbitrary. It depends on the student, depends on their learning history, depends on a lot of different variables. But after they've gotten to a point where they're struggling, they're not getting it, we're going to stop them and give them instructional content. Every learning objective has at least 1 piece of text-based content, 1 piece of video-based content. All of the video content is ADA compliant. It's both captioned, and we have descriptive transcripts in here, which for math is critical, a critical extra thing as well, because with the descriptive transcripts, if there's an instructor at the board, for example, writing in the video, it's telling that student has visual impairments, that what they would have been seeing on the screen, not just what is being said. This is the other key element. With every piece of instructional content we have, there's a piece of assessment tied to it as well. So the student's been struggling, they bump their head against the wall. We don't want them just clicking past the instruction so they can get back to work and keep being frustrated. They have to actually show that they understand it. And so simple terms, if a student comes to your office or an instructor's office hours and they're struggling on something, you take the time to explain it to them. You're going to ask them a question to see if they got it. And if they don't, then you're going to decide where to take them from there. And in essence, that's what we're doing as well. So after the student has tried, gotten instruction at the goal topic level, if they're still struggling on this, then what's going to happen at that point, I'm going to just kind of breeze through this really quickly in the interest of your time. You see what just happened now? So rather than going to graphing it, now we're asking them to write the circle below in standard form. So now we're giving them an opportunity to do it in a slightly different way, rather than just bumping their head against the wall in the same fashion. Again, full worked explanation. And the student, as you can see, the student doesn't realize that they're starting to get taken backwards into some of the prerequisite content at this point in time. Again, it's about confidence, as you know, a lot of times in math. So now we're working them forward as they go through this. And they get instructional content at the prerequisite level. And same thing, assessment tied to that as well. So that's kind of a brief overview of how we work the instruction in alongside the assessment piece of this. And because all of this content can be aligned when you set up a course to a syllabus, for example, you're teaching on graph, a circle in general form, and the student's working on only the content and the prerequisite skills to be successful in this. Whereas in Alex, they could be all over the place.